All right. Well, welcome there, ladies and gentlemen. Ben Dixon here with a special guest today on MLM Monday. I am pumped to be not alone on this call and sharing it with you so that you guys get the chance to meet Mrs. Sharon Tahaney. So in a moment, I'm going to introduce Sharon to you here, and I'm excited for her to be on the line with me today. And on our team here at NaXum, we're always building platforms for different groups, and Sharon is one of those special people in the industry that works with teams for their content. So different companies in the place have hired her all throughout the direct sales industry, from her background of running different direct sales companies and being a vendor in the space to actually write the content and onboarding programs and training programs for different companies here in the space. And so when I was thinking about today's topic, I said, no one better to have on the show than Sharon. And so I've invited Sharon to come out today to talk with us today about onboarding new reps in your company and what that's all about. We're going to have questions today all about onboarding. It's going to be really fun. So first off, let's go ahead and check our audio. Sharon, how is it on your side? Is it all good to go?
It is good to go on this side.
You are looking fabulous. I'm excited to have you here today. Thanks for taking some time to come out from Texas here to share with everybody.
Absolutely.
It is such a cool time to be in this industry. I'm seeing, as I'm sure you are, new people who have never been involved in direct sales or network marketing before in record numbers coming and checking out the industry. And with our work, we've been working with manufacturing companies and all sorts of people in the space who are starting direct sales companies. And this whole topic of onboarding couldn't be just more timely, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a beautiful, well, first of all, thanks, Ben, for having me with you today. It's exciting for me to be here with you. But yeah, it's an exciting time for the industry as a whole. It is a transformative time. And, that freedom that we offer is intoxicating. Uber and B&B and Etsy and all of these companies have made, hey, sharing a platform is smart. Mm-hmm. And here we have in the direct sales industry a built-in platform with a product that's proven, with a marketing system at your fingertips, with training there for you. Mm-hmm. You couldn't find a better option when you're looking for that freedom in your business. So I'm glad to be a part of it.
Well, this is awesome. Well, Sharon, before we jump into our topic, I want people to know why they should listen to you today as we're talking about this. And so one of those things that I think is really interesting is our perspective. So there's a few boxes I always like to check when I ask people and meet people in the industry first time of what you've done. And those boxes are being a distributor in the industry before. So Sharon, you've been a distributor before, right?
I have, and I've got to tell you, well, I grew up in a direct selling family. My mother was a leader in an iconic Tupperware
Mm-hmm.
company. And so as a child, I saw, how you could set goals and make them and have fun in the process. And our families went to Jubilee every summer for our vacation, so that was kind of in my blood and I grew up. And I've spent my adulthood in the industry. And I did start out in college needing a little extra money. You know the story.
There it is.
Opened my Tupperware business and went to my first Tupperware party and was absolutely paralyzed with fear. And that's why I know personally how important onboarding and that new consultant is. He's so fragile, so vulnerable, so fearful. And for us to give them an equipped, confident boost right there at the beginning is critical, not only to their success, but to the entire company's success.
Totally. And for everybody who's listening, it didn't end there for Sharon. You went on to then play corporate roles all the way up to the highest level of running your own direct sales companies.
Yes, I've been so blessed. I mean, so many in this industry I know can relate to this story of having the most powerful experiences in direct selling. From a corporate standpoint, I worked with Tupperware for years at the senior levels, and I was so blessed by that company because they have such a discipline about management, the metrics, and I learned so much about the analysis and how to really measure success and what to look for, when you're building a company. And then I was blessed to be able to work with Mary Kay, that company, again, critical to my development, and learned from Mary Kay Ash herself about leadership. It's not about the things, it's about the people. And that's different from management. in leadership, very different things. Right?
Totally.
You manage things, you lead people. And so I was so blessed to have learned some very important lessons from her as well. And I've worked with some startups as well, and important lessons there too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel it. It's been a great path for me.
Oh, that's fantastic, Sharon. Well, thank you for opening up and just sharing there. Oh, want to go ahead and in our short time jump into some of these questions that I know people have been asking about. Yeah. The first is, some people always ask about timing all the time, and so what are some of the stats you've seen, real numbers, about how timing plays into proper onboarding of a new consultant on a team?
Well, actually, the very first moment someone says, okay, let me try this, sign, enroll, put me in, that moment in time is where it begins, because, and it's certainly those first 24 and 72 hours where you have a definite plan in place. Mm-hmm. But a conversation from moment one where the company is equipped the recruiter or the sponsor with a checklist, with kind of an onboarding discussion. So you not only kind of go over some of the cognitive discussions, like how much do you want to make in this business? How much time do you have to give to it? But also the emotional side of the business. What is the fire in your gut? What is your why? You're opening this business so that what? Because that little kernel, that gem, is what is going to be the thing that's going to keep them going when times get tough, and they will for everyone, right? So immediately, that sort of get down what their income goal is, get down what their why is, kind of get a plan for that next step immediately. And then, of course, within that first 30 days, you want that path, right? You want to know, what's the system for selling. What's this company all about?
Tactics.
Stepping out, telling them that you need to open a conversation about your business at least once a day, whether it's online or in real life. You need to open a new conversation, right? You need to have your selling systems at least 2 times a week, and you need to recruit and add to your team 3 times a month. Typically, you want them to know what their expectations are.
Well, that's right there. You just nailed it. You setting proper expectations, right? So many people, they say there's a big difference between different organizations where people say, well, there can be one person that says, my name's John and there's 30 people on my team, and my name's Debbie and there's 30 people on my team, and they have totally different experiences and totally different checks, because maybe John hasn't properly set expectations for his team or hasn't followed the system. But Debbie has, and there's proper expectations on her team. We see that all the time.
That consistency, right, Ben? That because you are helping to equip people with those things to do those very little steps. It's so easy not to do it. And it's so critical that you're reaching out every day and opening conversations, right?
It's just those simple things duplicated again and again.
Absolutely.
You said a couple really big things that I want to make sure people don't miss. I like to always talk about, what are the 3 musts that every company needs to have in their onboarding process. And you mentioned a why right away. So why are they doing this business? Right. That's really critical. And so beyond the why, you talked about how, right? What was their commitment level, right, to getting there? What would you say is a third piece that is actually just a total must of required in your mind, beyond their why and how much time?
Yeah, and just again, I'm going to keep this kind of big picture frame around it for a moment more, and that is, when you're structuring your onboarding program, you need to have that frame that and I use the acronym FAST. I'm big on acronyms, and so I'll remember what we're doing.
Yeah, we use acronyms all the time.
To kind of guide a framework or strategy around an onboarding system. That means it needs to be focused. That means those first few modules, which, I think you can cover them all in 6 or 7 modules. Those first few modules are focused exactly on what they need when they need it, nothing more. And when you'll hear people say, well, they need to know how to upsell or cross sell, and they need to know, overcoming objection. And yes, they do. They need all that. And so that comes right on the heels, mastery modules are coming right on the heels of onboarding, but focus on what they need when they need it and nothing else. So that's the F. A is aligned. It's so important. They're getting this starter kit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So only the products that are in that starter kit should be taught to those new people, and only the products in that starter kit should be used for the selling situation that the company uses, whether it's party or whether it's, face-to-face or whether it's online.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you align with your starter kit, align with your program.
Mm-hmm.
So, everything's aligned. And then simple as S, simple. You want every new consultant saying, oh my gosh, I can do this. And the more tools,
Exactly.
of course, that response is going to be readily spoken. And the last is a track. Unlike other training systems that I believe should be linear, fluid, as you need them, get them where you need. An onboarding is a track in my mind. It is linear.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than fluid, because you want them to step with you in those critical first few steps. It's strategic as how they're placed. You want to celebrate them and each step of the way. Mm-hmm. And you want to, of course, certificate of a completion at the end, yep. Big woo-hoo-hoo recognition, yep. And even an incentive is smart. Because putting your money in onboarding is probably the smartest thing a company can do, because the stats, Ben, as you mentioned earlier, tell us that the sooner someone makes a buck or a dollar or gets going, the longer they stay in the company. And I've seen it in every company I've worked with, and I've worked in this industry for 30 years, so there have been a few. And everyone says, you get them going quickly, and they are getting incentivized to go quickly.
Yeah.
They stay longer with you, and not only do they stay longer, they do more while they're there. Mm-hmm. So your active Salesforce count is impacted positively, and productivity is impacted positively by just having a structured onboarding system for your new consultants.
Well, I love your acronym FAST, because it really puts a lot of the things that are important into perspective. One of the things I've done in a lot of clients, we use our own acronym called SPEED for the method of how people share with others. We've really coined that and written a lot on that, of sharing, presenting, enrolling, elevating, duplicating. And what I love about that is being focused and just giving them the part they need makes it simple. And the thing that I encourage people all the time is to not make it daunting. We want someone who's never been in this industry before not to step in and then step right back out, but to step in and know that it's possible for them. And then when they earn that first dollar, know that it's real, right? So that it moves from like, oh, does this thing work, to, oh my gosh, it does work. And that was simple. Man, if I could do that, who else in my life could do that? Exactly. That's huge.
And speaking as one more thing, Ben, on simplicity, because I'm a big believer in a checklist from that. I said that first moment when someone goes, okay, let's do this. That moment to have a how-to checklist right then and there. So it kind of guides the recruiter into a conversation around, what do you want to get out of this? Let's get that done. Get your, why do you want to do this? What's that big passion inside, the fuel that's going to keep you forward? All of that right there on the checklist. So you're guiding that very first conversation once they say yes. And, and it's easy. And so it's in the starter kit. It's in the hands of every recruiter. Yeah. And it makes that onboarding an integral part of the recruiting process, really. You can't recruit without onboarding. You can't activate a new successful consultant without teaching, and so that checklist, that makes it simple.
Well, and I really like that. I actually just did a project with another group in the space who has done a checklist, and some of the things we've seen are real effective is to do that short and sweet training, that simple training that gets them off to the races. Have them take a test so they get a reward, get a certificate or a badge. So, woohoo, I did something. I have an emotional win right after getting started. And then that whole idea of learn as you go type stuff can happen afterwards. I've seen clients get in even as specific as a financial goal, where they may say, hey, click here. Are you a $500 a month person, a $500 a week person, or a $500 a day person? Because those are very different goals, right? If you come to a business expecting to make $500 a month versus $500 a day, those are very different levels of activity, very different levels of goals. And so it's okay to do that type of stuff after your front end training, right?
And those quizzes you mentioned, they're not there to make people scratch their head and get scared. They're there as a review, right? So when you're doing those e-learning modules and you're keeping that interaction at the end with the quiz, It's simply a review. So you really want to punctuate what are those key takeaways I want from my learner to have with them in their pocket and in their heart and their head.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to review right there. And keep it simple. So it's going to be like, well duh, that was easy. Yeah.
But you won.
Yeah,
yeah. And this is perfect, because I know even as people are watching this and seeing it, the other thing they want to know is, what are some of the pitfalls? Like, what are some of the big things that you'd say stay away from that in your onboarding process? Because we got some really good ideas we're sharing here, but what are some of the things you want to make sure you don't do in the onboarding process?
Well, I would say actually complicate your lives. You want to say, we've touched on that. And so we're going to be redundant here, but it is so important that you're keeping it simple, and therefore you're not overarching. I think you start with a strategy about your learning roadmap before you do your onboarding. That is key, because it's going to keep you from stepping in landmines.
Yeah.
Because well, I'm going to tackle that next. That is the next thing. You think of this new consultant's journey, and you stay within the steps where they are when they're there. And I've seen people want to skip those steps, jump into something more complicated. It's not about you, meaning it's not about us, whoever's creating the learning. It's about the recipient, right? Totally. And so you're not trying to impress them with, hey, I know all this stuff, so let me sit at my seat. Let me tell all of you this stuff.
Yeah.
That's not, of course, the purpose. And I think that's a big landmine too, is to try to, impress people rather than let them feel confident.
There's one point that I think we have to touch on here in the pitfalls that I see all the time, and it's comp plan explanations in that front end training process, right? I have seen this trend right now that I absolutely love in the industry. If your comp plan has a structure bonus, okay, where they refer one customer and one distributor, and you unlock X as a bonus, or refer 2 distributors and 2 customers, and you get Y as a bonus in the first 15 days or 30 days. I'm seeing companies everywhere, clients of ours, not clients of ours, where we're doing some projects. I'm seeing them, when they get to the comp plan part in that short training, only touch on that little first step structure bonus. That's all they're talking about is, hey, the first step in the comp plan is to get 1 customer and 1 distributor. After you do that, then go watch the compensation training video. So what have your thoughts been on that type of approach?
That first action with what they can actually do, which is about sales, right? And so your comp plan has 5 or 6 or 7 ways do you get paid and all that kind of business. And you do retain that. And thanks for pointing that out, Ben. It's so important that you're not giving them this long compensation overhaul, when they're there and their eyes are glazed over and they're like, at law.
I had a great mentor of mine, a client today of mine, who's my first mentor in direct sales, and now they subscribe to our services at our company. So, and he always said, a confused mind does nothing, right? He would say that all the time. He'd say, hey, a confused mind does nothing. A confused mind does nothing. And it's so true. We could get them through these simple, fun parts. And then if we just blow their brains out with too much compensation plan about being a second level, a 2-star diamond, when you hit this $1 million GV goal, they're not there yet, right? And it's an easy one for us to fall into, just out of laziness as corporate teams, right? We might say, oh, I only want to shoot 1 comp plan video. Well, no, you don't. You want to separate that out.
And it's really quite simple to keep it simple. And that is, if you look at your averages for whatever your whatever your selling scenario is. Yeah. You look at your averages and the average time it takes to get to that sales point, and what your sales commission is, so you can equate that to dollars pretty easily. For X hours, it's X dollars when you are having X number of these selling situations. So that's it. It's like, let's break it down into what you can control right now, which is about your actions of opening a conversation every day, your actions of having this selling system every week, how many ever it is that you want based on how much you want to earn, right? And there you go. That's all you need to know right now. Those are your areas of focus. And again, that's what I meant about alignment. Align with, what your program is. And that's what they have control over from moment one, isn't it?
It really is. I have one last question for us, Sharon, that I think is really important too. This comes up all the time, and I think it's good to hear it from not just me, but to hear it from you, from others, is how long should it take to get through fast training or a speed training module? right? When someone's brand new, they come in and they turn on the videos in the back office, how long should it be between that and them taking a quiz?
Well, bite-sized learning is key, isn't it? Because we are all distracted and overwhelmed and impatient. That's the world. That's the modern learner. That's who they are. And so we need to respond to that. So bite-sized learning, I mean, take all of the pieces and pull them into small understandings, right? So that you're teaching them in a visual and impactful way and in some interaction. Quiz them at the end and celebrate their success and break it down. So, mine do vary between, they may be 5 minutes, they may be up to 9 or 8 or even 11 or 12 minutes. It depends on, really the topic. And if I have guest people on to kind of give insights and inspiration inside of that learning. So, and I do like to vary the modules so that they do have the different experiences. So it does vary, but we just have to be mindful of that impatient learner that we have. They want 4 things. They want their learning to be mobile. I want it in the palm of my hands whenever. Whenever I want it. They want it on demand on my clock, not on yours. I mean, this was mind-boggling to me. And worldwide, more people have smartphones than have working toilets. Okay. So,
thank you, Apple.
I mean, that says it all, right? In kind of a grosser way, but it says it all. And then they're learning to be collaborative. So you want that peer-to-peer sort of opportunity and chat lines and forums and things like that to augment your learning. And they want to be empowered. Let me do this and show me how to do it and let me go and make it happen. Again, like I said, freedom is intoxicating. People want that in their learning as well. So yeah, those are the things that the modern learner must have in today's world.
Fantastic. Bite-sized chunks, on-demand learning. I know a lot of times we'll keep it on our side, we keep stuff between 30 minutes to an hour of those chunks before we get that first real quiz and contest in there, right? We don't expect someone to get through 3 hours of chunks before they earn, a certificate or a badge.
You got to break it down.
We do it pretty darn early, folks. Yeah. So we're giving people a reward in most of our stuff. If they pause, just did a launch for a company, did a press release on our page, and in their system, their chief sales officer, who Sharons actually known before, he went through the training after we finished filming our part and his part, and he paused the video and you're supposed to pause and did the action you're supposed to do and press play and then did the action and paused, and he went through it and he goes, yep, got it done in an hour. And I was like, good, like that was awesome. I was like, thanks, Kevin. I was like, that is what we wanted. We wanted you to experience that 1 hour. Now you took the test, got a certificate, right? And I think that's really a great kind of piece to keep in mind for people when they're doing onboarding, is to keep. That's awesome.
And while they're waiting for their starter kit, that's what they do, right? They get that onboarding learning, and where it's friendly and feels good, and they're celebrated, and now they feel equipped and they're confident. That's what you want them feeling before that starter kit ever comes to their door.
Yeah, and that's another great point. That's why you don't wait for your onboarding to be in the starter kit, right? You do it online, folks, right in your back office. I know some folks who are watching this probably have it still in a DVD in their starter kit, and you got to remember, if you're watching this, I mean, we do it right on their marketing system all the time in our platforms, and I know even for folks who aren't clients of ours, if you haven't yet put it in your back office so they can click and just do it. Do it. Yeah,
I don't want to falling in a valley between the signing yes and getting the kit. That's could be 3 whole days, right?
Yeah.
4 days. So that's that's valuable time. That's when they're vulnerable and fragile and fearful, and you want to fill that with some uplifting learning.
Awesome. Well, Sharon, I just want to personally take a moment to thank you so much for coming on to MLM Monday. This was such a treat for everyone who's going to be able to check this out. We'll go ahead and take our live stream and repost it for those that are on the show. And I want to thank you so much for being here today and connecting and just sharing your learning. All right.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody. Well, take the information you learned today and do something with it. You don't get paid unless you actually do something in anything that you do, right? All right, folks. Have a blessed day. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.